Right, so hi everyone. Last week we looked into the question, are all managers leaders? And in this week's video, we'll actually be exploring some leadership theories. So without further ado, it's going to be a short video, right? Let's get right to it. So let's look at the Oxford English Dictionary meaning of leadership. Now here it says, to lead is to cause others to go with you, to be in charge or in command of. That is what the Oxford English Dictionary says. According to me, what is my opinion? What do I think is leadership, right? Look at this picture over here. You see a person in the front putting himself or herself in the followers' shoes, showing them the way, inspiring, motivating, and guiding the path for the vision. Right? This is my opinion of what a leader is and what leadership is. So look at this picture, and this is what I think makes a great leader. So let's look at the meanings of leadership and how it has evolved over the last couple of decades, right? So we have some definitions over here. The first one is from 1940, where they say leadership is the art of influencing people by persuasion or example to follow a line of action. Now that was said by Copeland in 1942, which is a long time ago, and this meaning is actually quite outdated now. We do not use this anymore. So, and in 1950s they say the process of influencing the activities of an organized group in its efforts towards goal setting and goal achievement. Now that was in 1950. Right? And in 1960 it says acts by persons which influence other people in a shared direction. That is what they say in 1960. So the current academic definition which we all go by is leadership is the process of influencing others to understand and agree about what needs to be done and how to do it, and the process of facilitating individual and collective efforts to accomplish shared goals. It's quite a big definition, right? But don't you see something in common across all these definitions? The word influence keeps on popping up, doesn't it? See, in 1940s we see the word influence, and 1950s and 60s, and even in the current academic definition we see the word influence pop up. So what is influence? Right? So let's look at what is influence, because leaders are notorious for being great influencers. So they define influence as the capacity to have an effect on character, development, or the behavior of someone or something. In order for successful influence to be there, there must be persuasion, motivation, and inspiration. So let's look at some leaders who are actually great influencers. You have Nelson Mandela, you have Martin Luther King Jr., you have Mahatma Gandhi, and you also have Mother Teresa. Now these great influencing leaders have different styles of leadership, right? And this is actually where the different theories of leadership emerged, because various people had different styles. There was no particularly one style and one theory of leadership. So let's look at the theories of leadership. So particularly there are two common types of theories. We have the traditional and the contemporary theories of leadership. So the first one, the traditional aspect of leadership theory, focuses on the leader, while the contemporary aspect of leadership theory focuses on the follower. We will not go into very great detail. We'll just go through these theories very briefly for our understanding. So the first one is the great man theory of leadership. Now this theory of leadership says that leaders are born and not made. They say that leaders arise when there is a great need, right? So basically what they say is leaders are literally different from other people. They are born with different personal attributes. They behave differently. They have different genetics, which is why they are great men. They stand out from the crowd. They stand out from followers, right? Which is why they are called great men. So to conclude this theory, it is leaders are born, not made. The leaders arise when there is a great need, and this leader goes against all odds to accomplish the goals of their followers, right? That is the first style of traditional theory of leadership. Then we come to situational leadership. Now, this leadership style basically states that there is no particularly one style of leadership. Leadership depends on the different situations. Like, for example, different kinds of leaders actually have to utilize different leadership approaches depending on the situation. Like, for example, in a situation where the leader has to be strict with his or her followers, he or she might utilize an autocratic style of leadership. In a situation where the leader wants to give his subordinates some power and some freedom, he or she might utilize a more democratic style of leadership. Right? So basically what this theory says is that leaders must be able to move from one leadership style to another in order to become an effective leader. Right? And then we come to charismatic leadership. So as stated before in previous videos, leaders are notorious for having great levels of charisma as well. Right? So basically these leaders are born with a genetic gift. They are born this way, right? So basically these kinds of leaders, they influence people, they charm people, they persuade their followers because of their ability to create strong emotional attachments with their followers, right? So this is also quite similar to the great man theory, because in order to become a great man, you need some kind of charisma, right? So the charismatic style of leadership and the great man theory, actually they are quite similar. They are not the same, we must clarify that one, but they are actually quite similar. Then we come to the transformational style of leadership. Now this is actually the first contemporary style of leadership which we will focus on, right? Now basically what this leadership style says is that these kinds of leaders, right, they go beyond their self-interests, right? They identify their followers' higher purpose. They basically dig into their followers' values. They look at what exactly is their followers' higher purpose, and then they align all these things with the leader's vision to drive the best out of their followers, right? Now these kinds of leaders, they can actually cause valuable and positive changes in followers, because they literally look at what the followers' values are. They look at the followers' values, right, and their higher purpose, and then they create change in these followers, right? Now actually this style of leadership, right, it is proved to be able to change individuals and even social systems, right? So then we come to the servant style of leadership, right? Now literally, judging by the title itself, the leader is literally a servant here, right? The leader is there and exists to serve, right? Like when we consider traditional styles of leadership, basically it's focusing more on, organizational goals and meeting the organizational requirements. But in this leadership style, the leader is the servant. He is there to serve, right? He is there to make sure that the followers' needs are met. And these servant leaders, they share the power. They share the power, the leadership power they have, and they make sure that his or her followers' needs are put on top as a priority, right? And now these individuals, these servant leaders, they are notorious for helping people develop into the best version of themselves. They help people become the best performers. Right? As we say over here, the servant leader makes sure that other people's priorities, our needs and needs are being served. Right? Now, what we can see from servant leadership is that these people are quite courageous. They are insightful, right? They are responsible, and they increase the confidence and capability of their followers, right? So that is servant leadership. So what do you think is the best leadership style? As a matter of fact, there is no best leadership style. It's all depending on the situation and the person, right? So hope that gives you a brief idea about some leadership theories. Now there are actually a lot more, there are a ton more leadership theories, but we want to keep this video short, so we just went through some very basic famous leadership theories. So thank you so much for watching, and if there are any questions, please feel free to ask. Have a nice day.